All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good. Had a request to check out this one. This is going to be a very short one, so no long intro. It's only about 2.5 minutes long. This is titled Bob Costas' poignant and predictive closing remarks after the 1998 finals. Now, this is, I can just see from the setup here, this is Isaiah Thomas, Doug Collins, and Bob Costas. This is basically them signing off after the Bulls had just won their 6th championship. And we know at this point, basically, it was the assumption that the Bulls were going to dissolve, and this was going to be it. This was the last dance. So let's not care about my words. It's about Bob Costas' words in this situation. I want to hear what he has to say. I only saw this, I think, back in the day. I don't remember closing remarks by him. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's get right into it. So as I always do, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description. And everybody else, please leave this video a like. I appreciate you all. Let's do it.
Well, for Bulls fans, there is, of course, cause for celebration tonight after a 6th championship that came harder than the others. But there's some anxiousness mixed in as well. Who knows how all of this will play out, but it's certainly possible that tonight we saw the last of the Chicago Bulls as we have known them. And whether it ends here or sometime in the near future, it'll be noteworthy not just for the breakup of one of the great teams in sports history, but because given the present structure of pro sports, it may be quite a while before we see anything like this again.
Yeah.
Oh, the organizations that have the resources, the Yankees, the Braves, the Cowboys, the Lakers, and the NBA, will almost always field contending teams. But the days of continuity may be ending. Even on the best teams, there's now so much turnover that it's becoming ever harder to follow and identify with teams. Loyalty has been fragmented, which brings us to an underappreciated aspect of this golden era in the NBA. It hasn't just been Bird, Magic, and Michael. It was the whole recognizable cast of characters around them that gave the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Bulls their texture and made following them all the more interesting. Even the Jazz, noble runners-up 2 years in a row, are personified by the longest tenured coach in the league and 2 Hall of Famers who have been teammates for well over a decade. We'll see championship teams in the future, but will we see teams that endure this way? And as for Michael Jordan, all the superlatives have been exhausted and almost all apply. But perhaps the most important one is this. He's authentic. His essence is so much deeper than image. In fact, the image is, in his case, an amplification of something true and substantive. Take all the money, all the adulation, all the TV cameras away, and put Michael Jordan in a gym somewhere with Russell and Oscar, West and the Doctor, and he'd be as genuine and as much in his element as any of them. His heart and his athletic integrity every bit as impressive as his artistry.
Wow.
So whenever it ends, it's been an incredible ride for Jordan and the Bulls, and we at NBC have been privileged to be taken along for that ride. So as we say goodnight, we'd like to acknowledge the work of all the people who made these telecasts possible. For everyone at NBC Sports, good night from Salt Lake City.
Wow. That just makes the whole thing even more surreal. First off, that it happened. Bob Costas, wow, he really saw what was coming, didn't he? First of all, I mean, the obvious thing to throw out is, yeah, this was the end of the Bulls. Like, the dynasty ended right here on a championship. It still blows my mind. But what he said there was actually really interesting, because he was calling that this might be the end of continuity. And yeah, he was pretty much right. I mean, it lasted a little bit longer because we had like the Spurs of the 2000s. But outside of that, we haven't seen anything like what we saw in the 90s and with the Bulls, you know, but like teams staying together for the sake of staying together and trying to win together. We lost that. Now it's always like a 1 to 2 year window, and then people are moving all over the league. Players are not loyal to the organizations, and organizations are not loyal to the players whatsoever. Now it's just, you know, just mix and match, and it's constantly changing lineups, changing coaches, general managers. So when he said the end of continuity, like, that hits, because this is something that I really miss about the 90s basketball. You know, the Knicks were the Knicks throughout the 90s. The Bulls were the Bulls throughout the 90s. The Pacers were the Pacers throughout the 90s. It wasn't like we had a couple of years where the Knicks were really tough, but then they blew up the team, got rid of their stars, fired their coach, got a new GM, and then next thing you know, they're like a super soft team. That's like a run and gun team, you know? And they all had their identities too. Nowadays, everybody is a Warriors clone. But back then in the 90s, every team had an identity. The Bulls were different than the Pistons. Pistons were different than the Pacers. They were different than the Knicks, who was different than the Spurs. They all played their own style, and they all had a unique identity. And that's what was so important about keeping those pieces together, was because the players and the coaches, they created that identity. So from there, it was just a small matter of, let's draft some people for the future, get them into the culture. And then, if anything, we're going to make some small trades to bring in some help that'll embrace the culture. But it's just not that way anymore, and I miss it. And Bob Costas nailed it. Like, I've always been a fan of Costas because he just has a magical way of words, and this is just some proof of that right here. Anyways, I promised not to do a long video here, but man, he gave me goosebumps. You know, he really nailed this. So shout out to Bob Costas as always, and shout out thank you for suggesting this one. I know it's a short vid, but this is a piece of history right here, because it did end. In many ways, the game of basketball started dying from this point, and we're in a bad spot now. So I hope I hope it comes back to life here. All right, everyone, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate you all. Peace out, and have a wonderful rest of your night.